Okay, Francesca, as you know, you've got 15 minutes to present. I'll time you, and I'll let you know when there's little time for you to finish. After your presentation, we'll ask your guests to leave the room, and you'll be asked some questions by the commission. You can start now.
Okay, good morning everyone, good morning teacher, dear guests. This is my presentation. How the implementation of audiovisual aids can be a benefit in the retention of vocabulary in a 4th grade classroom. First, we need to start by giving you some context about this experience. As an introduction, the context was a subsidized school in Maipú. The name is Colegio San Andrés. I work in a 4th grade classroom, an EFL classroom. That means that English was a foreign language. The reason for selection of this topic are simple. First, for an experience that I have, then we're going to go to another reasons. First one is that the first class I had with my students, I saw them that they were not able to work without looking at their notebooks and their notes. Like, the words that were written there, they were not able to work without them. So I thought, like, they don't have a meaningful, acquisition of language. The organization of the research, we're going to see it, is from the statement of the research problem, and then the data analysis and the conclusions. First, we have the statement of research problem. Well, as I said before, the experience from the internship that is related with the curricular proposal from Minute and educational proposal from Colegio San Andrés. It's related because it says both of them propose that a teacher has to have knowledge about their students, about the students' needs, the level of the language, and how the students learn, in order to plan strategies and apply materials into their lessons. Well, some important sources that I wanted to highlight are Oscar, that is one slide from here, and more. Well, critical paradigm and critical thinking help me to understand how to analyze all this data and do all this research in a critical thinking way. And Hurtado gave me an inspiration to see the effects of certain materials during this experience. Okay, first of all, the purpose of study and research question. The purpose is to improve students' vocabulary retention by the application of audiovisual aids in a 4th grade classroom associated school or Maipú. And the research question, how the implementation of audiovisual aids can benefit the retention of vocabulary in a 4th grade EFL classroom or associated school or Maipú. But all of them lead us to the objectives. General objective, to determine how the implementation of audiovisual aids in an EFL classroom can benefit the retention of vocabulary in a 4th grade from associated school or Maipú. Of course, we have some specific objectives that support the main one, to identify students' initial level, methods of retention, to identify the type of material that will improve the retention, analyze the implementation in the lessons, and improvement in students' performance. By the way, I forgot to mention, I want them to use the language more naturally way, like if they ask to do something, to respond in English immediately, like to use it more naturally. Because they are asked and they say in Spanish, and the teacher has to say no in English, and they forget the words. To determine the implementation of audiovisual aids in the classroom can be considered, after all, a benefit in the retention, and to analyze the possibility of future improvements by the application of these aids. Okay, first we have the methodology. The research paradigm is the critical paradigm. This means to analyze a status quo that could be there. I mean, like a typical strategy that could be part of the classroom. Well, it says that to influence student retention by the implementation of audiovisual in their lesson, to give them the chance to use language more naturally, as I mentioned before. Okay, we have the research approach, the objective of the study, to determine that we consider benefits, as mentioned before, and I'm going to focus on mixed approach with critical stage. This because of the characteristic of the application of instruments that I'm going to mention now. A mixed approach is here, yeah. We have qualitative data and quantitative data. First, in quantitative data, we have a personal opinion of the students that is going to be assessed by individual interviews and the observation by the researcher. And quantitative data and numerical data, pre-test and post-test, relation with expectations that I have as a researcher, and students' performance influence replaced by the audiovisual material. Okay, this is the procedure. First, we have the observation. Students' performance and development during the class. I observe them about the performance and the use of English. Then I apply the pre-test evaluation that it was related to vocabulary retention without a stimulus. Then the application of a stimulus, implementation of audiovisual aids such as video or PowerPoint slides with exercises. I'm going to explain that later. And finally, almost finally, post-test application, evaluation of vocabulary retention, but with the stimulus. And one part that was missing, the reflection of the results, analyzing the outcomes from all the evaluation and determining if there are any influence or congruence between them. Okay, we have the realization, there are more terms related to the study. We have the vocabulary retention. The students could retain vocabulary according to the strategies applied in the learning process. This is assessed by Schmidt. It says that students can create a meaningful picture of the vocabulary of the terms in their heads. That is something that creates certain meaningful experience for them. The TEFL contest, as I mentioned before, teaching English with people whose first tongue is not English. Young learners, again, displays young learners as children having a lot of encouragement and they are really excited to face new strategies and to have a lot of contact with different things. In this case, to have a contact with the language. And we have audiovisual aids. This device corresponds to material related to visual techniques and the reinforcement of visual and listening capabilities. Reddy says that audiovisual aids are the ones that express knowledge and capabilities to the students. They are able to learn in a different way. Okay, first of all, before starting with the analysis and stuff, the letters of informed consent was a document that I gave to the guardians, to the parents, in order to start my investigation, to have the approval from them, saying that the students are not going to get damaged with it, and they're going to stay anonymous in the study, just as a general view. Okay, we have the instrumentation, pre-test, and post-test. Both were about a worksheet with certain activities with simple instruction for the students, as matching and using words from a box. All these words and terms were related to the vocabulary of the units in order to organize them, and they were able to apply it into the evaluations. Of course, these instruments were approved with the teacher by explaining her how it would be applied and what it consists and everything. The same technique, of course, was applied to the post-test, but the content, of course, was different, related to the units of that moment. Okay, I have the pre-test here, and the lesson here. This was the unit of sea animals, and this one with sports. As for the post-test, I followed the same kind of activities, but with different content. Here was the daily routines and tell the time. Instrumentation of the visual materials, videos, song, PowerPoint. I mainly use PowerPoint and some videos, mainly PowerPoint. Designed to work with exercises and encourage their participation to lead to a more natural way of using the language. This with the purpose of stimulating and encouraging interaction between students and language. Of course, these instruments were approved by the tutor teacher in previous instances of conversation discussing the lesson plan and how it's going to be applied in the class. Then we have the instrument of audiovisual material with some slides, for example, how we read the time, and some examples that we use. Then the daily routines and some exercises related to both contents. About the interview. It was applied to a group of 4 students with 4 questions. However, to create no discrimination, I also did a brief interview with the students that presented difficulties with the content and with the implementation of these audiovisual aids. Of course, this interview was individual and orally, and it was recorded by me with the consent of my students. I asked them, are you sure you want me to record it? Selection of students, as I said before, it was a group of 4 students. However, they have some condition. Have the approval of the parents with the document that I mentioned before, and the students who complete the pre-test and post-test. Because there are some of them that just complete the first evaluation and the other, they didn't. As I said before, for students, include an extra intervention to see the point of view of the students, yes. I did this intervention to know their difficulties or their doubts or some opinions from the ones that had difficulties. Okay. Trustworthiness of the study was assessed by the qualitative criteria, that is critical intelligence. It's more assessed by saying that someone has the action of thinking about something, give reasons to support it, and then conclusions, and defend one of these. In case of my study, it can be assessed by evaluating or seeing the status quo and these typical strategies that are used in the classroom. Social justice is related more to have the opinion of all the students, the ones that have difficulties or the ones that complete the activities, all of them. Crystallization is in order to be transparent with my opinions, my beliefs, and everything while I'm analyzing the data. And social action is how the teacher and students are part of this research study. I asked them, do you want to use this material for your test, or that means you can use it on your own classes, and things like that. Okay, findings, data collection procedure. The data was collected by the application of the pre-test, a stimulus, and post-test students were present. 15 students were part of the final data collected by the investigation, the ones that have the approval of the parents. But I organized everything in this table. However, I want to mark this number 7 because this was the SIMS evaluation. So I had to put it like this. They was not class at all, but I want to mark this one that is in the second test. The stimulus with audiovisual aids was destined for 2 days, 2 classes. Then the second test or the post-test was for the second class and the interview 2. However, there are some limitations that change all of this. Well, that doesn't change, it just corrupted. First, we have the school events. There was an event from school, the SIMS evaluation. There's something that happened with a student that I was planning to do 2 interventions as a stimulus, have a result, a concurrent result, but one student made a tantrum, so everything got a mess, basically. It went all disorganized. And the other thing that it was a limitation was a small number of letters on for consent. Most of my students said, I lost them, my parents are not sure, or things like that. This influences both the result and the organization of each activity. Presentation and discussion of findings after having informed consent, continued investigation, and this is more like the process. Now students were considered this evaluation because of the small number of letters, as I said before. So presented an invitation from the first evaluation and the future one of the final data analysis. Instruction on the instruments seem to be clear and easy for the student. They seem to develop very well. Then this activity consisted in the application of a stimulus in 2 classes. That was the first plan. But something happened with the organization, so we had just 1 class with the stimulus. However, this was like a huge influence because students got like confused and they were not able to develop the test like really good. They were confused, miss, I don't understand. They left some of the post-tests in blank, so it was a real mess. For the students, they were the test, presenting a complete answer, some of them in blank as I did before, but just a number of 16 of them were from the authorized part of the considered list study. So personally, I can determine that I needed more instances of intervention to be more clear, have more time. So we can say that the first part were completely organized, but the other was a complete disaster. Then we have the presentation of data. The data was collected through points obtained in the development of the pre-test and post-test. This is explained by the points, 11 points in total. The scores of the students in general are divided into following pie charts. These ones. First, in the pre-test, we have like most of them got the maximum of points. It was really good. But in the other one, we can see that they stayed like in 4 to 7 points, most part of the class. And then we have the others that maintain their scores. But there was like not much of them. Okay, this part is kind of difficult for me. Okay, the details of the pre-test and post-test result. There's significant difference in the score. We're going to say just this part from the result. T-value presented, when P-value presents a number of 0.002. This can be interpreted as a significance between the both of the results. So, results of the interviewed students are going to be brief. It demonstrated a positive response. Most of them said it helped me a lot, but others tell me like I'm not so clear. I don't work too much with audiovisual aids. I used to the writing method to just see the board and write. Then we have reflection. The starting results were the opposite from the ones expected. That it says that I was expecting to have better results, so it was the opposite. Limitations has a strong influence in results. Interventions were not on plan. And the time is really important. Future directions. It would be useful to have a plan B in case that things like this happen. The use of audiovisual is something that most teachers in the country are implementing in this class, but they have to be able to organize it well. And mental pictures and exercises in memory are some things I can highlight from this investigation. As a metacognitive analysis, I can see that I never saw myself as a researcher. I always see myself as a teacher. So I try to make students to be more interested in the language, and I can say something about my teaching course that I saw a lot of methods and strategies. So I wanted to just try to create my own strategy using my own creativity. I like a lot to use audiovisual aids and design these PowerPoint slides. The only thing that I can say that I'm not so good is the part that I get frustrated too easily because things act like I wasn't planning to, so I get frustrated. These are my references. That's it. Thank you.